Hello, welcome to Taekwondo Training. I'll be instructor for today's show, Bob Lemire. What I want to do on today's show is go over and I try to do this once a year. We try to do reviews here and there. The year's almost over. The finer points of the striking areas of your body, whether it's your hands, your elbows, your knees, your feet, or any part of your body, and how to make it more effective. Okay. In other words, if I took my open hand, okay, and I slapped myself in the face, it would hurt, or I slapped someone in the face. With the same power, if I had a knife hand or if I had a fist, all right, with the knuckles and the fine point that we want to get to that spot that we're hitting, you increase the power 1,000 times because of all the energy that's generated in a small area. And we're going to go over those small areas and why we do what we do in Taekwondo and the martial arts when we do a technique with certain parts of our body. When people see, if you're not into the martial arts, and they say karate and whatever, and now they go, and they don't even, they're seeing this and they're not realizing what that is. Well, let's start with that. This is a knife hand attack. All right, and you say, well, what's so powerful about that? What we're doing with the knife hand attack is we're using we call it a knife hand because the sharp part of our hand. All right, what we do is we take our hand and we don't keep it straight, the fingers. We give them a little bend. All right, and by doing that and then pressing your thumb against, say, your index finger area, it causes this muscle to get hard. Once this muscle gets hard, see this, we call it a knife because it's so thin. Again, if I slapped you across the face, it would hurt and I could do damage. But if I took a knife hand, all right, now when I slap you, all the area here disperses to your face. This way, just this area disperses to your face, which means all the energy in that one spot, all right, and all our hand techniques, I mean, it's the same thing, so I'll be going over that. When you do this, I would use a knife hand more, well, you can use it for the whole body, but your ribs, okay, your whole rib area, you come in with a knife hand, and knife hands come like this, all right? You take the rib right out, okay, if you hit it good enough and strong enough, especially the floating ribs, which are very weak. So you wouldn't want to punch, they're holding you, someone's holding you right under here by the ribs. Boom. Well, and if you did that and they dropped, then you go up and you go here on the neck. You hit someone with a knife hand on the neck at the right spot, you're knocking them out. You could do more damage too. Anywhere in the face or the head, I do a knife hand and I come in. Whether it's this way, see, knife hand, reverse knife hands, ridge hands, that's the inside here. Almost the same thing, but you're flipping your thumb in. And this area, very powerful. The ridge, you can get your hip, come in here. You hit anywhere in the face or the head area, it's as powerful as a punch. And you're putting your whole body into it, especially when you get the hip jog. Right? So you can hip jog with a knife hand. You can hip jog with a ridge hand. Okay? Hip jog with the elbow. When you hit with the elbow, that point right there, boy, it's like a bat. If you get hit with that in the face, or even in the solar plexus, the ribs also, the throat, anywhere with a good elbow up underneath the chin, with that pointy part, all the energy will go through that small area, all right, and that'll go into whatever target you're hitting. Like if you were breaking board, and you had a board, all right, I mean, you wouldn't want to break it with a slap. You wouldn't let it, you probably wouldn't break because all the energy disperses in that big area. You use a knife hand. You use a ridge hand, okay? Elbow, punch. When we punch, a lot of times people punch and they want to punch with the whole fist, all right? That's fine. I mean, you're going to get results if you get the punch off. But what we really want to look for is the two knuckles, which is your middle finger and your index finger. And those two knuckles are straight along with your arm, all right? And they're not going to bend like if you hit with your baby finger and your ring finger. If you hit straight with them two, your whole wrist could bend because it's the way your body's made. But when you hit straight in with these two knuckles, that's the point of impact that's going to cause most damage. And that's why, and I don't know if you can see, but my two knuckles in the front, and I haven't done many exercises over the years, but they were much bigger than that. I mean, a doctor actually told me when I was in my 20s, and I'm 70 now. In my 20s, he goes, "You better slow down on your knuckles," because he looked at my hands and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I told him I'm trying to build my knuckles up. Well, I was overdoing it, and they were out. You know, he told me by the time you're 50, if you don't slow down on that by the time you're 50, you're not going to move your fingers. He goes, arthritis and everything's just going to. So I had to slow it down a little. But even today, the knuckles stayed big, and those two knuckles right there, that's what you hit with. You're coming up. You know, a lot of times you might not hit with just those two knuckles, but that's what you train. When you're breaking a board, you're going to want to hit with those two knuckles. See how they're straight in? I'm not going to get that kind of bend. All right? Then again, those two knuckles are the 2 points that are going to have all the energy go through them instead of the whole knuckle. I mean, the whole hand, the whole wrist, your punch. So, all right, see the knuckles? I'm not bending my fingers, my hand. I'm keeping it straight. But I come up, uppercut, trying to hit with those two knuckles. Breaking a board, you definitely want to try to hit with those two knuckles. I've seen people break their baby finger and those knuckles when they break boards, especially if they do more than one board, or they hit the board wrong. They break their baby finger in there many a time because they just missed or they weren't practicing the right way. But then when we do push-ups, we do them on our knuckles, the two knuckles. You don't want to do them on all your knuckles. Your two knuckles right there, index finger and your middle finger, and you do your push-ups. That'll strengthen these up. Again, as a doctor told me, and he was right, you go crazy, and you know, you can make these knuckles really big and strong, but you can hurt yourself in the long run. So you gotta always think ahead. All right. So you hit the elbow, the pointy part of your elbow. Now, when you hit, you know, someone hit with the whole forearm, that's a hit. But you want maximum power, you're breaking with that. Now, and I've done it myself. I've broken boards at tournaments or exhibitions with my elbow. Right? You can chip that elbow. You can chip the bone when you're hitting boards. All right? You can actually maybe hurt yourself if you hit someone in the head, but boy, is the impact of you hitting an elbow to someone's head or even in the chest area or whatever, they're going to take the hit for that. All right? And your head and your body are a lot smooth, you know, more delicate than a board. Board's just hard and rigid, you know. And it's the same thing with your knees. If you're going to throw a knee, all right, come up, do a knee to the midsection, all right, the groin area, okay, even coming around with the knee, you're hitting with the tip of your knee. You're trying to get that tip of your knee, all right, the hard spot in front, your kneecap, and that's where you're going to hit, all right, that's where you'll hit. When you're using your kicks, we have the knife edge, which is the side of our foot, all right, and I tell my students, if we can get a picture of my feet, all right, where I tell my students, there we go, when they first start, stand like this for a side thrust so that they know how their foot. You don't want to throw a flat side thrust. Flat. Again, that's like hitting with your hand. The power disperses. You're not going to get the results that you want. But when you hit with the knife edge, which is the side of your heel, of your whole foot, okay, from your heel all the way up, it's like what we call a knife. And see my foot? It's not flat. It's this way. I've seen some pictures of great martial artists with flat feet as they're doing a side thrust, and I go, I don't know if they wanted that picture taken that way, because it's just not the way you should do a side thrust kick. That's for sure. Although with Taekwondo, other martial arts, maybe they do want to do whatever they want to do, but again, you want that knife edge, all right? You want that knife edge to cut through, especially if you're breaking a board, all right? You want that Not this, you want this. Same thing, not flat, but the knife edge. And I have my students do this so that they keep their foot this way. All right? They don't have sneakers or anything. They just barefoot at the school. But up here, and then they know how their foot should stay. It's not straight up and then turn it. It's I have them practice up. Once they get it over and over, they know how the positioning of their foot should be. And that's the spot you want to hit. Front snap kick or front round kick. I've seen people just throw it out with their foot hanging out there, not curling their toes back. So they're going to hit with their toes. Try to break a board with your toes, or even spar, and try to hit someone anywhere on their body with your toes, and your little toes they're gonna break right off. I've had many, and everyone I've known in martial arts is either broken a toe or really did something with their toes over the years. It happens, and that's just too much happening when you're sparring and stuff, or breaking a board and you do it wrong. But good way to practice. See how I'm doing this? I tell my students. I have my sneakers on. It's a winter day out there, and I'm going to stay warm. But see how I twist? I'm curling my toes. That's what you're hitting. Where your toes are curled, that hard part of your foot. All right, the ball of your foot. That's what does the kick. All right, that's where you're kicking, and that's where you're aiming when you're breaking a board, or when you're sparring, or even when you're just practicing in the mirror. Curl the toes back. Curl the toes back, and hit with that ball of your foot. Especially when you're breaking boards. Front round kick, same way. You're turning, all right? You're turning, all right? Kick with the ball of your foot as you're breaking a board. I've seen a lot of people kick with their instep. Fine, you want to. They want to. I don't do it. They want to build up that instep. They want to. You're going to hurt yourself. Your whole instep right here. You don't need to do that when you have the ball of your foot. You curl your toes back. You come in. You hit it with that small part. All right. When you curl your toes back, all right, the ball of your foot is just small. That's where all the power's going. It's not slapping like the whole instep would. And that instep breaking boards, or hit that instep, you can hurt yourself. When you're sparring, you have to watch it, because a lot of times, especially good sparrers, they see a kick coming and they go like this. Now that front round kick, all right, or that kick, that hits the elbow, or even the knees, or the whole shins. You got to watch it when you're throwing kicks and make sure that that person that you're fighting with isn't going to use that type of defense. Right? Good front round kick comes in, I go like that, he's hitting it, and he's going to hit my elbow. Right? As I say, I don't care who you are, the greatest bodybuilder in the world. You're not going to build your toes, your biggie toe and your little pinky toe and the ones in between. You're not going to build them up. All right? They will break very easily. All right? You're not going to get a muscle in there that's going to keep them going when you throw a hard kick. Same thing with your fingers. All right. Although we do have techniques where spare finger, like a spare. Look at, here's my my knife hand, and here's my spare finger. Fingers always got to be bent a little. You don't want your fingers straight, because if it bends the wrong way, they break off again. All right. But if they're bent a little, they'll fold in. So you have a chance. I wouldn't recommend breaking boards with those. I've seen it done, and I wouldn't do it. I like playing the guitar and stuff, because that's you're pushing the limit. But when you're training, or you had to, that small area, right? There's a lot of power in those fingers. That hits you in the throat, hits you in the eyes, hits you in the solar plex. All right, a dead shot in the solar plex. Going to do some damage. It's going to put you down. All right? Put your opponent down. All right, straight up here in the eye. If you hit someone in the eye with that, all right, they're not going to want to fight you anymore. And as I say this, and people are watching and their children, Do not play around with this, and don't play with your friends. Even though you see the Three Stooges do it all the time, right? It doesn't make it. Yeah, you got to be professional and do that, I guess. Once you start playing around and practicing, let's see if I can get close to your eyes. Now you're going to hurt somebody, really hurt them bad. So this is self-defense. This is life or death. Someone has you, holds you, and you know you're in trouble. Bam! You make a quick move, all right? And they have two-finger. We have a two-finger attack to the eyes, or spare finger, all right? See how it's tight? Bam! Straight in one eye. If it comes in here with the throat, they're going to gag. They're going to hurt, all right? It's an advanced technique that you wouldn't want to start as a beginner. You want to make sure that you're a little higher up there in rank and you feel good with the rest of your techniques. This is same thing with an arc hand. All right, looks like a U, C, an arc. All right, that arc hand is perfect for up underneath the throat. All right. And again, I always say this big guy grabs you, boom, you come up here very quickly under the throat. Again, you can, the muscles here, you can really build those up. But your Adam's apple and your esophagus, they're hard to build up, all right? Hate to say it, you're not going to build muscle around that. Somebody comes up there. So as big as this person is, if you know the fine spots to hit them, and there's vulnerable spots through our whole body, especially the head up. They're going to be, even though they're this big and you're this big, you get into the right position before they make their move, and you try to hit vulnerable spots. You'll maybe save yourself or save your life. So that's why we practice, and that's why I do this show. So that even if you got one thing out of it, saying, all right, I'm just going to practice this arc hand he's calling. And see how the arc hand is? Not flat, it's not bunched up. Like if you come up here with a punch, you'd probably bounce off your chin and, whatever. But if you wanted to get that throat and you come straight up, look at it. Boom. How quick is that? They grabbed you, right here. I'm going under here because that's how it's flat. It's an arc hand. It gets more advanced as you get higher. You get the arc hand and you make a squeeze, but we won't even go that far. I just want to show you the finer points. And I was thinking, as I was thinking of what I wanted to talk about on the show, I saw a movie a couple of times with Sean Connery, and he was an old major, all right, for the armed forces. And I think he was retired. I think he was with his son. He's at a cafe. It's a beautiful thing. I looked, and big bully comes in with his friends, and they're going to be bullies. Big guy, and Sean Connery. He starts giving Sean Connery a hard time, and Sean Connery says, yeah. So they both stand up, and the guy was intimidating him, and Sean goes, and I'm not going to imitate Sean Connery. Maybe I will. I'm just going to take you out with my thumb. And the guy looked at him and laughed, all right? And all his friends laughed. He goes, just going to use my thumb. And all of a sudden, the guy was going to grab him. He took his thumb, went straight into the solar plex. The solar plex, if you take your fingers and you push here, all right, push here, and that's where your ribs come together. Press. It don't take much, but a lot of pain. Your thumb hits that, and when he had his thumb, he closes his hand. His thumb is just hanging out there, but it ain't going anywhere. Right? So when he hit the guy with a thumb to the solar plex, the guy went down fast. Guy got up, his friends are laughing, and Sean Connery's got his thumb. Guy comes at him, I think he went straight up for his throat. Guy went down again. Guy got up again, went to grab him, Sean grabbed him, stuck his thumb, just stuck it here, and pushed up, and had him, just take your thumb and put it under your neck. All right? You can actually put someone to sleep that way. You can knock them out. But press, then he goes, have you had enough? And the guy, all right. I went fast. And the fighting scene was kind of long. It was fun because he had the guy all over the place with his thumb. Now, I wouldn't go recommend fighting with your thumb. We have too many weapons in our body that we can use that are really effective if you have to. But that's just to prove a point. That fine spot, all right? How many people you know were beaten up by someone's thumb? None. But in the movie, if you can check it out, and you probably could Google it, Sean Connery beating up a person with his thumb on YouTube, and you'll watch it and you'll say, wow, that's a cool scene, especially with Sean Connery. That proves my point. The finer, the smaller the spot that's hitting any part of your body, if it's a strong spot, all right, the energy will flow through that spot, all right, that smaller spot than it would be a big. Punches are great, but like I said, as I say, the two knuckles, that's the spot. Not the whole wrist, and you say, well, that's hard to do. Well, it is hard to do, but the more you practice, and if you were doing push-ups, you'd know how your hand has to be, right, as you punch. You don't want to punch and have your hand all bent, because it's going to bend. And it might break your whole wrist with a bad punch. Especially you punch someone in the chest or even in the face, a good punch to the face, but it hit him wrong. Now you got a broken wrist or a sprained wrist. It's just practice, and you'd know if you practice on that big heavy bag, the big hard heavy bags that they hang. You hit those. You want to make sure you're hitting them right, because you're going to have wrists that are all beat up if you're not hitting. Right? Boxers know this. They know what they want to. In the heat of a battle or a heat of a fight, things happen fast. And I understand you'd go. But if you can remember certain little things, all right, and basic things, all right, the arc hand under the throat, all right, even you go for the face. An open claw like this, tiger claw they might call it. I don't know. We never practiced it that much at Taekwondo, but you're coming up straight. Something's going to hit. All right? And now you're really tightening your hands. Same thing here. You're tightening your fingers, and you're coming up. You're not trying to go through their target or their skull. You're just trying to poke them in the eyes to stop them. When you get poked in the eyes, you're done. You're hurting. You might not be blinded for life, but you're hurting. And that's going to give you time to take off and run to save yourself. Same thing, all your kicks and everything. There's vulnerable spots. You don't have to kick high. Taekwondo, we love our high kicks. In this show, I try to keep them down so that people aren't discouraged, saying, I can't kick that high. A lot of people are tighter, and especially if you're older or your hips and your muscles, they're not built that way. Everyone's different. So you want, if I come in here onto a knee, 8 pounds, 10 pounds of pressure, which is not much, can snap a knee out, all right? So it's come up. But notice as I come up, I always chamber my body close to my body so that the person's right on top of me. I can't just lift my leg this way or that way because I'm going to crash into them on the way up. Up and down. So you practice, all right? Practice, pound, just the knee or the midsection, all right? Don't even bother high section, all right? There are some martial arts who refuse to do any high section, saying it's a waste of their time. Taekwondo, we love it because it's powerful. You get those kicks up there high. But you have to have the right body, and it takes a while to get that type of split or that movement of your leg and your hips. All right? A lot of exercises we can do for our hips, all right, to get the hips nice. Look at this. Out of hip stretch, I call it. In a hip stretch, touch your feet. Right? What that does is loosens up your hips. Your hips, especially as you get older, are vulnerable because they can become weaker and weaker if we don't keep them strong, all right, or loose. So you always hear people falling as they're older because they just didn't maintain that type of, because they either couldn't or whatever, because of age or whatever. And when they fall, that's it. They don't recover. And a lot of people do. You get up and it's like, oh, and you fall, break your hip. So you want to, as much as you can, do a lot of walking, do a lot of light stretching, all right? A lot of light stretching every morning. Just nice and easy. Look at, and pick up your legs. You do 10 of each, and then, look at, then you just little stretches here to the side. Now that's helping you with balance, all right? And then, you know, if you want to do a little nice, easy little kick, get that blood flowing. Get those legs stretched. You need the chair or the wall or someone to hold on. Hold on to something if you balance, especially if you're older. I don't want you to fall over for doing this. Get your balance and go very easy. Look at, you don't have to go crazy. Go easy. And the more you would do this, the stronger you'd get. And it don't take long. A couple of weeks, your body starts gaining strength. First couple of days, you're going to be sore. So start really slow, especially older people. I'm trying to tell you about old people. Start slow and work your way up. And say, well, maybe I'm not doing enough. No, that's good. The next week, you know, just do a couple more. Start with 5, then work to 10. All right? Get yourself a little routine. There's plenty to Google. There's plenty on YouTube's. All you got to do is use your imagination. Say, all right, this is what I want. Boom. And with AI and all this happy stuff, you'll get anything you want. All right? I'm just one little show off on the side. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. We're on YouTube, drakettv.org. You can check out. We have plenty of shows, lots of shows over the years. And I hope you enjoyed yourself. Till next time, have fun. Train hard.